A lot of people get confused by the term mad lad, and they think that it's always used as a term of endearment. But that is not the case. We've had some good mad lads, and we've also had some bad mad lads. What makes them mad is they did things so outrageous or so insane that they left their mark on history and gave us a very interesting story in the process. But some of these guys can be mad in the classic sense, in that there is just something very deeply wrong with their head that leaves them so detached from reality that the only explanation for their behaviour is that this person has a few screws loose. This person is literally mad. Because compromised mental faculties can be the only explanation for the behaviour of today's mad lad. The world's biggest scumbag boxer, Charlie Zelenoff. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. But before we get started, this video is brought to you by Displate. With millions of officially licensed designs to choose from movies and gaming to sports artwork, Displate has a high quality metal print for everyone. All of your favourite franchises are covered, including several of my personal favourites like Alien, Dark Souls and Cowboy Bebop. With Displate, starting a wall of high quality art of the things that you're a fan of is extremely easy. And mounting your Displate couldn't be easier. All you have to do is stick the magnet to the wall and then slap that bad boy on there. And if you need more inspiration to get you started, you can check out some of my other favourite Displates by clicking the link in the description. If you click my link, you won't only be supporting my channel, but you will also get an automatic discount of 23% off of 1 to 2 Displates, or 33% off of 3 or more Displates. You will also be helping the planet by planting a tree for every Displate that you buy. This offer is only available for a limited time, so make sure you get in there fast. This is a rather unusual mad lad, and to be quite honest, I don't quite know where to start with this one, because although there is a lot of media online about Charlie, there isn't quite an extensive background into his private or early life as we know it. But thankfully, the further along we get into Charlie's quote-unquote boxing career, the more interesting it gets, along with more sneak peeks into his personal life. Charles Peter Zelenoff, commonly known as Charlie Z, or his street alias Z-Money, which is probably one of the cringiest nicknames I've ever fucking heard, was born in Los Angeles, California in 1988. Both of Charlie's parents allegedly originate from Russia, which is apparent with the second name Zelenoff and their rather thick Slavic accent. Now, there isn't much to go off in terms of Charlie's life, and I'm sure there are various factoids floating around out there of his story, but just like other lolcows similar to Charlie, it's very hard to pinpoint what is true and what isn't, since Charlie can't be trusted to tell the truth, as we will find out soon enough, and we also can't fully trust the accounts of his haters, since haters do very often just make stuff up. Some way or another, Charlie got into boxing, most likely in high school. But it was his late teens to early 20s when he started taking the sport a lot more seriously. Well, at least more seriously by his standards. He would regularly challenge random gym goers to fight him or to do some light sparring, and we will get into that later. While all of this was going on, he would apparently visit various boxing and fighting forums online, getting some attention on these forums in the mid-2000s. He was known for his big talk and exaggerating his own prowess in boxing, and he would also claim that he could take on anyone. This, of course, would be the beginnings of the LOL GOAT. He was well on his way to being regularly milked for his silly and obnoxious videos claiming his amazing boxing feats. But before he got to the status of the pound-for-pound GOAT, he would first have to have an official boxing match, which to this day would be his only official match. The contender was a Mr. Andrew Hartley, aka the Kid Thunder, and he would fight Charlie in the Paris Middle School in the state of Arkansas, which, from what I can tell, was basically a primary school gym with a boxing ring in the middle of it. But hey-ho, everyone's got to start somewhere. Besides the literal mid-tier boxing ring, the person that Charlie was going to fight was a well-known tomato can boxer. And for those of you who don't understand the term, this is basically the guy who everyone first fights because it's pretty much a guaranteed win to start off your career. That's if you aren't a subpar boxer. And from the footage, you can get a pretty good idea of Charlie's performance. And before they could even really duke it out, Charlie, for some reason, kept insisting on spitting out his mouthguard, leading to him being disqualified. And of course, Charlie wasn't happy with this decision. And he started claiming that he had actually won the fight, when in reality there was no question at all that he had lost. There are rules in boxing. If you break these rules repeatedly, like Charlie did by continually spitting out his mouthguard after he was told not to several times, then you get disqualified. And if you get disqualified, you've lost the fight. From here on out, things just get even more silly to the point where it's hard to tell if this is all a joke or not. But this was the beginning of something that Charlie is very well known for, which is blatantly losing a fight, even in front of tons of people, but then claiming he won and then going after anyone who says otherwise. Just an absolute outright denial of reality. What really didn't help matters was another fight that Charlie had arranged along with his so-called trainer. They basically pulled up outside of a Home Depot and said, "Looking for work, see?" and paid some random Mexican labourer $50 to get in a gym boxing ring, fight Charlie, and then take a dive. And all of it would be recorded so Charlie would look like the winner. And the lies don't even stop there. For starters, the fighter was called the mighty Edgar Perez. No, he wasn't. His name was really Mario. So, you've got this random wee Mexican called Mario who was paid $50 to take a dive in a random internet boxing match, but to add to that, Charlie and his trainer spread around the word that this mighty Edgar Perez was on a record of 4 wins and no losses. This was, of course, to add to the overall win factor for Charlie when he knocked out Perez, totally legitimately, of course. But anyway, let's have a look at some clips of a random immigrant being beaten up because Charlie paid him $50 for the privilege.
Look at that. Down for the count. Look at that. Charlie Z. One, baby. Look at that.
Now, from what I can gather, everyone who was in on this fight saw it as a troll, a goof, a mere laugh. Bar one person. Charlie. And I think this is the perfect way to sum up Charlie's career. Everyone else thinks it's all one big joke. But in reality, or at least in Charlie's reality, this is just another win on the pound-for-pound GOAT train. This is his career, his life. He was born to do this. This is what he was born to do. Even though all of This was either fake or delusions. Now, one of the most scumbag things that Charlie would do to artificially inflate his wins, and this is what really started his notoriety as a complete arsehole, is he would go to gyms and he would approach some random guy just working out. And Charlie would always choose people who were a little bit overweight, or they looked very unfit, or they were smaller than he was, or they looked like they had no idea how to fight. And then Charlie would ask them if they wanted to do a little bit of light, no-contact sparring. And alongside that, Charlie would teach them some boxing techniques, which are obviously very good for fitness. Charlie would then get a friend of his to film this light, no-contact sparring. But what Charlie would then do is catch his random opponent completely by surprise and start beating the complete fuck out of them, full contact, which they didn't expect because Charlie lied to them about this being just some light sparring. The person would then yell stop because Charlie was beating the crap out of them, which Charlie would then take as his opponent giving up, meaning Charlie had won yet another fight. And he would then post these videos online for everyone to see. So, assaulting people. That's what he would do. He would lie to people so he could catch them by surprise and add another fake win to his record. It's just such a shitty scumbag thing to do. Like, these guys are going to these gyms to try and get fit, so of course they're going to jump at the chance to learn a little bit of boxing. Just for this complete gimp to start assaulting them and sucker punching them out of nowhere just so he can boost up his stupid fake record. Charlie Zelenoff, you are a fucking loser. But even though Charlie was essentially lying about all of his wins, his clapback is that all of his wins are recognised by the UBF, the Underground Boxing Federation. Which is true. The UBF does in fact recognise all of Charlie's wins. And who created and controls the UBF? Charlie. Charlie does. Charlie created and controls the UBF. The UBF, as I am sure all of you will be very shocked to hear, is not taken seriously at all by anyone involved in boxing. The boxing community all see it as just a massive joke, and everyone knows that the only reason it was created in the first place was to give fake legitimacy to Charlie's so-called wins. So let's discuss what I've deemed as the Zelenoff method. So for the Zelenoff method to work, you first need a fake fighting federation in place so that you can wrongfully claim your wins, which Charlie's already done, so that's off the checklist. Next, you need someone to film these fights and an outlet to upload them on. Thankfully, Charlie had his dad, some random participants, and lastly, YouTube to help with that. So, in Charlie's mind, if he could document himself winning all of these so-called UBF fights with whoever he could trick into doing them, and then upload them onto his YouTube channel, that would give him some sort of credibility. Oh, and also to add to that, Charlie would very often claim that these randoms he was fighting were ex-Marines, ex-Special Forces, MMA fighters and so on, so that his wins would look even more impressive. All of that was complete utter bullshit though. These guys were not ex-Marines or ex-Special Forces, these were just random guys that he met in the gym. Random guys who very often had absolutely no boxing or fighting experience whatsoever. On that note, Zelenoff was still holding a grudge from his last fight with Andrew Hartley. So he had arranged a rematch, allegedly even paying for Andrew to be flown out from Arkansas. But, as you can imagine, there was an issue with the fight, and for some unknown reason, the fight got cancelled at the very last minute. Instead, Charlie would insist on them street fighting, but being a more professional boxer than him, Andrew turned this down. But that wouldn't stop Charlie from bringing the fight to Andrew while he was getting changed.
Point at him. Record, point at him.
Andrew Harley doesn't want to fight me.
So obviously, if you hadn't guessed it by now, Charlie is not a fair fighter. Like, at all. And he will take plenty, and I mean plenty, of cheap shots at people. But, funnily enough, in the video, you can actually see Charlie's dad, Eugene, slap him after punching Andrew. This was followed up with his dad basically apologising for Charlie and explaining that he has some sort of mental issue which stems from his mother.
I apologize.
That kid needs a doctor, sir.
I apologize.
He's not need a doctor.
He's a doctor.
That's what
He's sick man. Sick. He has, his mom has psychological problems and he does. That's why I stick my neck always for him. Eventually get killed, but it's okay.
Now, apparently, Charlie's dad would be a big influence on his career. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he encourages his behaviour, and clearly in the video he's very embarrassed, but then again, we can never know what goes on behind closed doors. No, I'm not saying that his dad orchestrates all of this at all, but at least financially and in some other ways, Eugene does help Charlie in being a prick. Clearly, there's a sense of sympathy that Eugene has for his son, and of course, every father wants to see their child do well in whatever their dream is. It's just a shame that Charlie planned to achieve his dream by being a delusional and deceitful prick, whilst not getting any other career in the meantime, and also insisting on not following any of the rules or recommendations that has been given to him by other people within the fighting sphere. Even though these past few scraps that Charlie had with people had obviously been complete and utter failures, Charlie would obviously still publicly declare them as wins. Amongst fighting randoms, Charlie also scrapped with a few local boxers who he actually had to pay to fight him. But this time they would not be taking any dives for him. Two cases in the same gym would include an old ex-boxer by the name of Derek Riles, who was 49 at the time of the fight, and he was paid $300 to fight Charlie. But before the fight even got started, there was an issue right off the bat, because the gloves that Charlie wanted to use had had the padding removed from them. Basically, Charlie tried to cheat. But we can have a look at the footage of this fight, which you will notice is absolutely dogshit quality. But bear in mind that this is early YouTube footage from the mid-2000s, which was shot on whatever potato camera they had on them.
Come on, finish the round.
But yeah, as you can see, Charlie got absolutely smashed. He very clearly 100% lost. But what Charlie would commonly do is edit the videos of all of these fights so that you don't see the key parts where he gets a bitch-style smackdown, and he would deceptively edit the footage to make it look like he won or performed a lot better than he actually had. Guys at all of these gyms that Charlie would frequent were already used to Charlie and his bullshit shenanigans. But his next opponent wouldn't be so light on him. Charlie's next opponent was a young Dejon Daniels. Now, in some clips, people allege that Daniels was just 16 years old at the time of the fight, but apparently that's incorrect, and he was most likely in his early 20s. Either way, he was next up to fight Charlie. But since Daniels and the gym owner were very well aware of Charlie's cheap tricks, Daniels was told not to go easy on him. Pretty much everyone in the gym wanted to see Charlie get the absolute shit knocked out of him. And their wish was granted.
30 seconds. Finish it, Charlie. Finish. You got 30 seconds coming.
He's not even hitting me.
Oh, broken nose.
One minute. Come on, go, go, go. Napkin. Napkin.
But he wouldn't stop there. Charlie, in his classic bullshit fashion, stops partway through the fight to raise his hands and say that he won. And then he just left the ring. But Daniels was having absolutely none of that shit, and he jumped out of the ring and carried on fighting Charlie until Charlie finally gave up.
No, hold up. Hold up.
But what I would say is funniest about that situation is apparently after the fight, the gym guys got to keep Charlie's Toys R Us made boxing belt along with one of his silly hats that claims an absurd amount of wins and no losses. Because that's another thing that Charlie does. He gets custom hats made that show his amazing boxing record, and he keeps constantly having to get new ones, weekly almost, because of all of these fights that he just keeps winning. These hats and that stupid belt are probably boxing's equivalent of the Sonichu medallion. Now, I wanted to discuss one of Charlie's key fights, which looks to have happened previous to the last two. But what makes this fight very interesting is it was with an old-time boxing legend. Floyd Mayweather Senior. Yes, Senior, not Junior. At this point, the legend was already retired. But he would train with others and be at the ringside as any legend should be. But one day, he encountered Charlie. Now, it's hard to tell if this was pre-arranged or not, but one story that we found online is that just by pure chance, Mayweather Senior was training at the same gym that Charlie was in at the time. After seeing Charlie's clearly lackluster skills, Mayweather decided to give him some pointers. Now, if Mayweather Senior is giving you boxing advice, you fucking listen. But not Charlie. Charlie get pissed off with him trying to give him some pointers, and this led both of them to the boxing ring, so that Senior could teach Charlie a lesson in manners. But again, when Mayweather Senior wasn't looking, Charlie, having zero respect for anyone and being the complete scumbag that he is, decided to hook him a few times, which no one was happy about. This, of course, led to a swift reaction by someone else, presumably a friend of Mayweather's, to jump into the ring and give Charlie the absolute smacking that he deserved. Well deserved. But of course, Charlie would again claim that he won that fight, which has absolutely no meaning at all when he had to use cheap shots to get any semblance of equal footing with the retired boxer. I mean, for fuck's sake, what sane guy gets into a ring with a boxing legend that's in his late 50s, early 60s, gets dominated by them, and then when his back's turned, smacks him a few times, and then claims that as a win? Now, after the fight, Mayweather did have a few post-fight comments which summed up the scenario pretty well.
Is this one?
Wait a minute. Wait. Man, I beat the shit out of that guy. Man, I knocked that guy out, man.
So, after this event with a pretty high-profile person, Charlie was really starting to gain some traction. And Charlie knew what he wanted. More attention. Good or bad, because it didn't matter to him. So, by again uploading these clipped videos along with videos of him talking shit to people, this would piss everyone off, from the YouTube comment section all the way to some random niche fighting forum. Besides being an annoyance to Mayweather Senior, Charlie had also caught the attention of a few other professional fighters, all of which he would call out to fight him, claiming that they're all pussies and he could take all of them on, etc, etc. You know, just like that one guy that we all know when you're watching any type of martial arts. The guy that goes, I could take Khabib, you've just got to stand up, you know the type. Charlie would then take this to a whole new level. First, he had already called out Chuck Liddell, an ex-UFC light heavyweight champion, claiming that he's basically a fraud. After the call-out videos and so on, Charlie managed to actually meet Chuck one day. Luckily for Charlie, there's always celebrities close by, considering he usually lingers around on Hollywood Boulevard. Chuck, along with his family, were out one day and Charlie must have spotted them. This was the perfect opportunity for Charlie to get another call out. And according to Charlie, Chuck was being a pussy and wouldn't fight him. Which is true. Chuck wouldn't fight him. But not because Chuck's a pussy, but because why would any sensible professional fighter start fighting someone in the middle of the street in front of their family and risk being arrested all over some jumped up, delusional little shit? Apparently, afterwards, Charlie even wanted pictures with Chuck, and in true Charlie fashion, he was wearing his iconic belt. And I think we can all agree, right, I know you don't even need to be that interested in fighting to understand this. Chuck Liddell would have fucking eaten Charlie alive, right? So Charlie is very lucky that Chuck is a much more sensible person than he is.
Very quick, the story about the guy with the belt, Charlie Z, when you were walking at the mall with your family and he put down his belt and called you out for a fight.
You know, that guy said something, but you know, actually he asked for a picture at the end. I mean, he never even really challenged me. I seen video of him, it's funny. I mean, when he's trying to do stuff, I mean, I wouldn't want to hurt the poor kid.
Thankfully for Chuck, this was one of Charlie's less aggressive encounters. And luckily for Charlie, nothing got serious because Chuck would have absolutely demolished him. But the most famous and by far well-known Charlie Z encounter was with Deontay Wilder, the well-known heavyweight boxer. And before Tyson Fury could have a shot at smashing Wilder, it was actually Charlie that beat him to the punch. Literally. It would take a few years of harassment until finally, in 2014, Wilder agreed to spar Charlie in the ring. For real. Let's just take a little look at this clip.
He's done. He's done. He give up. Let him go. It's gonna stop. Huh? Don't you ever call me a
Now, you can probably tell it looks like Wilder was out there to really hurt Charlie, and there is very good reason behind that. Charlie would leave a variety of racist voicemails on Deontay's phone, but the thing that really pushed him is when Charlie claimed he would tie his daughter's mouth with duct tape and kill him in front of her.
The deal was, to make a long story short, I had a guy that had been harassing me for 2 or 3 years, talk recklessly all the time. And I'm the type of person that I take criticism well. I get it every day. I'm accustomed to it. That's why I'm so dark. My skin is thick. I'm sexy with it, you know. But I think it comes to a point where you can be a critic and say certain things, but it's a limit to what a thing. And people always want to say, well, you're a professional, you shouldn't say certain things, but that give you the right to talk dirty about me. I'm still a human as well too, and I'm gonna express my opinion. So he took it to a whole nother level. And one thing I don't condone in the world, because my family taught me to raise to love everyone in the world, no matter what color, race you are. And that's one thing I don't condone is racism. And he brought racism to the table. He brought duct taping my daughter's mouth, and when he said that, I love my kids to death, and even if my kids in the crowd or I have family, nobody never knows. I tell whatever network on, yes, I have family here, but do not show them because I don't, so many crazy people out there. And when he said taping my daughter mouth, I visualized him actually doing it, and it upsets me. And then he said murder him. He's gonna kill me, murder me, and those three things, man, that was overboard. And so when it's like that, I want to see people.
Yeah, really fucked up, sick and twisted shit to the point where it's clearly not just a troll. And Charlie was making this as personal as he could. Even during the fight, you can still see how pathetic Charlie is. The true embodiment of talking smack and getting smacked. But then claiming that you won it or it was a draw or something. Yeah, Charlie talks about this all the time, and he usually goes on random tangents focusing on random flaws in his opponent's technique, when in reality, Charlie just gets his arse kicked. Wilder did have a few follow-up interviews discussing the fight and explaining that apparently he was intending to kill Charlie. After this clip is when Charlie, you could say, went viral, with various news outlets covering it like TMZ and other small sports channels. No longer was Charlie just a random internet lol cow. Well, he still was, but he now had a much bigger audience to laugh at him. Not as big as other lol cows, but purely through the luck of him living in West Hollywood, it made it much easier for him to just run into random celebrities. Even Tyson Fury has commented on Charlie and his antics.
That was quite a good fight, really, wasn't it? I thought Charlie did really well, to be fair.
I was surprised he took those punches and didn't get knocked out.
He took a couple of punches and he tried to fight back.
Yeah.
Which the guy's obviously unwell. So, I thought it was a good fight, to be fair. I'm a big fan of his.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But all of this has left some people asking, is Charlie actually just a troll who is really committed to the bit, or is he simply an idiot with internet access? Well, at first you might be thinking, surely no one would do all of this, believe that they won fights that they clearly lost, take cheap shots, etc., without having some semblance of, hey, I'm fucking with everyone. Well, it turns out no. Charlie, on some level, is actually mentally unwell. Like, literally mentally unwell. So, what is actually up with Charlie? Well, I don't know specifically, but allegedly he's been prescribed Thorazine, which is commonly used to treat schizophrenia, psychotic disorders, and manic phases of bipolar disorder, which does fit with Charlie's general demeanour. He's also very well known for making up fake girlfriends, fake wins. He's a fake thug, and he clearly has some deep-seated issues going on. But before we get into his love life, we need to have a little bit of a chat about his criminal history, which also revealed some insight into his mental state. For starters, the big one that we know of is Charlie was actually arrested for trying to rob a bank with a deadly weapon. Now, I'm going to share this screenshot either way since, well, it's funny, but I just like the idea that Charlie thought by deadly weapons they actually meant his fists. I couldn't find much details on what actually happened, but there was one clip of him in court which was pretty interesting, because the judge himself, after giving him the sentence, told him to literally take his meds. The court declares that Charlie, you are not based, you are not a Sigma boxer, take your meds.
Okay, we'll see you back here on Tuesday, Mr. Zelenoff. I want you to continue to take your medications while in the hospital, understood?
So yeah, if that isn't proof enough that this guy is clearly mentally deranged, then I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, even his dad is basically his professional tard wrangler. Even in the clip where he apologises for Charlie's behaviour towards punching his opponent, Andrew Hartley, he mentions that his mother had mental issues as well. So it could very well be that they got passed on through her. But we'll never really know. Now, this is the arc where Charlie really did go crazy, which resulted in even more trolls learning of him and him being fucked with even more on the internet. And we actually managed to get possession of his criminal record. And besides the robbery in 2012, he was also arrested in 2018 for harassment of an LA fitness gym. Again, I'm not sure about the details, but I'm sure we all know Charlie well enough by now to know that he probably started a fight with the staff or other gym goers or something. Charlie would also regularly get drunk on stream, even taking to the streets to harass random people into fighting him. There's only a few audio clips of this where you don't really see much of it, but you can hear the sort of interactions that people were having with Charlie.
Let's box. I'm a boxer.
What?
Huh? I'm a boxer. Bitch ass motherfucker. 320 now, baby.
Besides the random encounters with strangers on the streets, this brings us to Charlie's next arrest in 2019, which I'll just let you watch the video and you can get an idea of why he was arrested.
Hello. You order?
Huh?
You order pizza?
Huh?
Did you order?
No, I didn't.
Apartment 10?
Didn't order.
Yeah? No order.
I didn't order.
Okay.
Huh?
Gotta go. Apartment 1022 North Vista, right?
I didn't order. Show Zelenoff.
Okay.
Hey, hold on. Come here. Come here. Huh.
Oh!
Motherfucker. Fuck, bitch. You got fucked up, bitch.
Just like many lol cows, the classic pizza prank is a good one. I mean, no one is free from that sort of prank. But to that pizza guy, what happens when you mix a mentally deranged, delusional so-called boxer with a society that doesn't accept him as the pound-for-pound GOAT champion? You get what you fucking deserve. Of course, that pizza guy didn't deserve any of what happened to him. I just really wanted to make that very shit joke. But this time, when Charlie was in jail, we actually managed to get an interview from one of his cellmates describing his time with Charlie.
He started pestering me about wanting me to suck my dick, and I kept telling him no. He just kept doing it and kept doing it. I got up in my bed and lay down. He just kept saying it. Finally, I just got pissed off.
What was he saying to you exactly? Just that, or?
He goes, man, I can make you feel good, and I can give you a good one. Finally, I just got fed up with it. I jumped down, I slapped him. He cowered.
Where did you slap him?
Just wasn't really that hard. It was just across the face.
Did you say anything to when you hit him?
No, I just said, I just got jumped down, I slapped him. He cowered, got on his bed. I tied him up and I said, oh, now you don't want to suck my dick, but guess what? I'm taking that ass.
Sadly, we don't think this actually happened. But to be honest, it's pretty fucking funny. But besides all of the anger and all of the hate, Charlie had some love in him. Well, more akin to a lust for various celebrities. I'm not one for talking about lovey-dovey stuff, but when it comes to Charlie, it gets interesting. Sensual, might I say. For starters, he did have a wife called Daria back in 2015, which lasted for 2 years. Apparently, she was from Ukraine, and we aren't sure if this marriage was legal or booked via a certain website called EasternEuropeanWives.ru. But Charlie's one true love, the woman of his dreams, was Kim Kardashian. We have no idea why he was so obsessed with her, but he was truly obsessed.
You're gonna look so sexy when you put these on, Kim. Yeah, All the women can be jealousy. Oh yeah. This, I keep telling her this every day. Cam, you're the one. Cam, you're the one. Cam, you're the one.
Charlie was so obsessed with her that it actually got to the point that he was just straight up stalking her. And this ended up with Charlie receiving a restraining order from Kim Kardashian in 2021. But wait, there's more. This wasn't Charlie's first restraining order, and apparently another small-time actress by the name of Jillian Babinski also had a restraining order put in place in 2019. Charlie, or Z-Money as he likes to be called, is the pound-for-pound champion at harassing women. This obsession with various women wouldn't stop either, with some other model called Angelina Ivy also being one of Charlie's fair maidens that he stalked. Although it clearly didn't go too far since she hasn't filed for a restraining order. Yet. Charlie also had a little bit of a weird thing for a woman that I have a little bit of a history with. Nicki Minaj. Charlie would frequent a Ferrari dealership that she would often go to, trying to find her and stalk her. And he would also do this.
Nicki! Come here right now! Nicki Minaj! Charlie Z, the GOAT, will rescue you!
So, what is Charlie up to now? Well, since he makes countless social media accounts all over the place and then abandons them and makes new ones on the same platform, it's very hard to keep track of. He'll do a random Instagram stream and claim he's won even more fights, and the last I saw of him, he was in Europe. He's popped up in Poland, Ukraine, and in Moldova. And I'll let this video show you just how well his Europe trip is going.
Yeah, I was losing, but I was still swinging. I didn't give up. I knew and then I finally caught him a few times. And then after that, after that he just turned his back. That's it. After that, he just turned his back and walked away.
Overall, the story of Charlie Zelenoff, aka Z-Money, it's just sad. It's just sad and pathetic. Because, on one hand, him claiming that he won fights he clearly lost, sucker punching people and also tricking non-fighters into fighting him and then being all JK, it's not just sparring, and then essentially assaulting them, just makes him a giant piece of shit. But, on the other hand, this level of delusion, I have never seen anyone deny reality quite like this. And I once worked a security contract in a secure mental health unit, and yet all of them were a lot more grounded in reality than Charlie. It makes it very clear that there is something very mentally wrong with him. Yeah, the man's a complete waste of space, but for some reason, I feel pity. That's what I feel about him. I actually do feel pity. But in order for him to get better, he needs a lot more than a good smack, because Lord knows he's had plenty of them because he can't fucking fight.
It's Dankula on YouTube. Everybody subscribe.